Championship weekend in fantasy football. Hey, we've been telling you who to start and sit on CBS Local Sports all season long. We're not going to quit now. Dave Richard, Jamey Eisenberg, Ryan Bass here with you. All right, I'm looking at quarterbacks. Well, we're kind of scared about Tom Brady this week. There's question marks all abound, so who do we start?
Feels like deja vu that we've been talking about this guy for the last few weeks. And Matthew Stafford, I think you got to buy into what he's been doing, certainly since Jim Bob Cooter has taken over as the offensive coordinator, what he's done at home lately, and what the 49ers have been on the road, which has not been good at all. Certainly the run defense, but their pass defense also. I like Stafford's opportunity this week. I like the way he's playing. I think this is actually a week Calvin Johnson gets going, but you see Golden Tate making plays for him. It's going to be another big week for Matthew Stafford.
Who we sitting? Maybe that's due for a dose of regression.
I think Phillip Rivers is perfect for that. I don't think he can do what he did last week at home against Miami. Now it's a short week, got to travel to Oakland. His offensive line is beat up. His receiving core is beat up. And Oakland's pass defense has actually been playing very well. Their pass rush has been solid. They've allowed 25 fantasy points to the last two quarterbacks they faced combined. That includes Aaron Rodgers, who had 12 fantasy points last week. I don't see Phillip Rivers having even 18 fantasy points.
All right, let's talk running backs because it's been an injury apocalypse at that position. Everybody's going down left and right each and every week, so pick your poison. Who you start?
I'm looking at Buffalo and Carlos Williams, and I think the opportunity in front of him against a Dallas defense that's got to be tired at this point. It looks really, really nice. The Cowboys have allowed 4 touchdowns to running backs over its last 2 games. I think you're going to see Carlos Williams step up and score and get a lot of yardage along with it.
Who are we sitting, Jamey? Maybe somebody that's been great for us all year long.
Great at times, and surprisingly enough, Lamar Miller is a top 5 fantasy running back from the overall season, which is shocking because we know it's been hit or miss, but the numbers are what they are, and right now the numbers aren't exactly in Lamar Miller's favor. From a snap standpoint, from a touch standpoint, they're starting to give Jay Ajayi more work, and that may be the case this week because Miller a free agent to be. Ajayi could be the starter next year. Matchup isn't scary against the Colts, but workload for Miller is, and he's banged up with ankle and quad problems, so I'd get away from him this week.
So from one University of Miami alum to another, what do we do with Allen Hurns?
You start him. I mean, is there anything against the Saints that you wouldn't start right now? Because matchup's fantastic. Now, we've seen Hurns take a little bit of a dip in production when Julius Thomas has come along. We haven't seen all 3 guys play at a high level this season, but I think this could be the week because I don't expect Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, and Julius Thomas to struggle in this matchup against the Saints. It should be a big game for the Jaguars, big game for Blake Bortles. Hurns is a very safe number 2 receiver.
Dave, you get to this point in the season and you're kind of worried to sit your stars, maybe some guys that have got you to this point. Is A.J. Green somebody you'd consider sitting?
I'm very nervous about using A.J. Green, and first of all, he might not practice this week. Who knows if he plays? He had a back injury that limited his snaps last week, so even if he does play against Denver, it could be in a limited basis, and the matchup is very difficult for him. I know what Antonio Brown did last week. Brown's a different type of receiver than A.J. Green. Green hasn't really been himself this season. I think if you're looking for 10 fantasy points, you'll get it from A.J. Green. I can find 24 other running backs or wide receivers I'd rather start. Probably 24 running backs too. Although with the running backs being what they are, probably can't get there.
I don't think you go that far down on the list. Right. All right, at tight end, Dave. What are we doing?
Benjamin Watson. We're going back to that game between the Jaguars and the Saints. It's going to be high scoring. I expect Drew Brees to play. And if that's the case, then Benjamin Watson is a surefire target in the red zone. Scored last week. I think he's going to give you another game just like it. Forget about these projections. He's going to do a lot better than that against the Jaguars.
You have a backup here just in case the Drew Brees doesn't.
Definitely. Zach Ertz, Zach Miller, both of them also good guys that you can pick up off the waiver wire, plug right in.
Who's somebody we're sitting?
Gary Barnidge, and I know he's been fantastic for the majority of the season, and it's hard to get away from somebody who's been as good as Barnidge has been, and he's actually played well with Johnny Manziel. We thought that would be a little bit of a concern when Manziel took over for Josh McCown, but the matchup's tough. Kansas City's been great against tight ends all season. They gave up 6 fantasy points to Antonio Gates a couple weeks ago, and we were like, wow, that's a great game for Antonio Gates against the Chiefs. That's what you're looking at for Gary Barnidge. I'd be surprised if he's over 7 this week. He's barely a top 12 tight end this week. I would start Ertz and Miller over him in this week's matchups.
Barnidge, Green, Miller, guys that have helped you all season long. Guess what? You're playing for a fantasy championship. They're on your bench. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good luck, CBS Local Sports.